Hello, Richard from budgetguitarist.com. I made a list of 10 commonly asked questions about electric guitars, and in this video I'm going to answer them. Now, each one of these questions deserves its own video, so some of these might end up dedicated videos. This is just a general overview, okay? I've got Amazon affiliated links in the video description for any gear that I talk about in this video. And if you use those links, you're supporting the channel. If you're an advanced player, you probably don't need to watch this video because it goes over kind of like what I would call the basics. Okay, as the Cars once said, let's go. Question 1. What is the best electric guitar for beginners? I might do an entire video about this question, but the short answer is you want to figure out what the player's goals are first, right? What genre of music do they want to play? What guitars do people in that genre normally use? And what's a great budget guitar in that genre? And also, what guitar looks cool to the beginner? If they think a Les Paul shape is old-fashioned and stupid, they're not going to want to play a Les Paul copy. We are naturally more motivated to play a guitar that we think looks cool. So, ideally, the guitar would be attractive to the player, meet the style of music they want to learn, be well constructed, be well set up, be easy to play, sound great, and be inexpensive. That's pretty hard to find in one package. If the player knows what they want, get them that. If they have no clue what they want, get them a Squier Affinity Strat with a humbucker in the bridge position and 2 single coils, because it'll cover almost anything, okay? There's tons of great brands out there. I just happen to like Squier. 2. What's the difference between a Stratocaster and a Les Paul? Well, a Strat typically has 3 single coil pickups, whereas a Les Paul has 2 humbucking pickups. Single coil pickups tend to have more high end, and humbucker pickups tend to sound a little thicker. Also, the 2 instruments have different body shapes, and the neck on the Strat is slightly longer than the neck on the Les Paul. The Strat has a body with contours, which can make it more comfortable to play. Strat usually has a detachable neck, so if it breaks, you can replace the neck. They play different and they sound different. I like both. Most players tend to prefer one or the other. Number 3, what is the best electric guitar brand? Well, that's sort of asking how long is a piece of string, right? If you want a new Strat and you only have $300, then Squier is a better brand than Fender because Fender doesn't make any $300 Strats. There is no best brand. I can tell you my 5 favorite brands: PRS, Fender, Gibson, Epiphone, and Squier. Those aren't the 5 best brands. They're just the 5 brands I like best. Number 4, how do I make a guitar play in tune? Okay, a good tuner is mandatory. Stretching strings when they're new is another. Checking intonation is extremely important. Also, looking at the nut to make sure the strings aren't binding. Now, another factor is the player. If you've got jumbo frets and a death grip on the neck, you're going to knock the notes out of tune. And if you're that kind of player, you might want to try vintage frets. Number 5, what's the difference between single coil and humbucker pickups? Well, I kind of already covered this with the difference between Strats and Les Pauls. But in general, single coil pickups are bright and have a lot of high end, and humbuckers are more heavy in the mid-range frequency and tend to sound a bit more full. Listen to a lot of guitar players, figure out what type of guitar sounds you like. That'll tell you how you feel about single coil pickups versus humbuckers. Also, you're allowed to like both. I do. 6, what is the best amplifier for electric guitars? The best amplifier is the amp that best meets the needs of the player. All right, I divide up the world of guitar amps into 4 categories: solid state, tube amps, digital modeling amps, and direct devices like the HX Stomp. In each of the 4 categories, there are amps that are going to sound better for clean, and amps that are going to sound better for dirty sounds. Some people spend years going through different amps to decide what they like. I mean, personally, I prefer my HX Stomp to any of the amps I've ever played through. Because it's a digital modeler, it can sound a lot like tons of different amps and pedals. So in my case, depending on the track I'm recording, I might use a model of a Vox or a Marshall or a Fender or whatever, Soldano, whatever. I lean towards Marshall for dirty crunch sounds, and I lean towards Fender for clean sounds, but there's a lot of amps and pedals to choose from in the HX Stomp. For a band situation, getting a single tube combo amp that you like the sound of is a great strategy. So yeah, for recording, I like the HX Stomp, and for playing with a band, I like a combo tube amp that sounds like a Marshall. Now, I've got a Fender Bassbreaker 15, and that's a tube amp that I like a lot. I also like the Marshall DSL 40. When I did my one-man band show, I plugged my Stomp directly into my PA, and I'll tell you what, it sounded great. So there is no best amp. Get one you like the sound of. Number 7. What guitar accessories do I need as a beginner? Well, are you a bedroom player? Do you plan on playing out eventually? You're going to need a cable, a spare cable, spare strings, a guitar stand, and you need picks, and you need some kind of amp. Oh, and you need a tuner. For playing out, you're going to want a strap and you're going to want a case. I mean, there's also fretboard oil, which is a good idea, string cutter and string winder for fast string changes. The biggest thing to understand is that a small amp without much power is fine for home, but once you start playing with a live, loud drummer, you're going to need a loud amp. And you are only going to sound as good as your amp, so get the best amp you can afford, I would say. 8. How do I properly set up an electric guitar? Okay, learn how to set action and intonation. Then learn how to check neck relief and how to use the truss rod, right? There's videos on this channel that can teach you how to do action, intonation, and relief. I'll link them below. None of this stuff is complicated. You can totally learn how to do it yourself. Number 9. How do I change strings on an electric guitar? Okay, well, that's a 10-minute video, right? It's better to watch a video tutorial than to listen to me talking through the process. I mean, I've changed strings in some of my videos. Yeah, I'll try to link them below. You know, you need a guitar tuner, set of strings, string cutter, and it's helpful to have a string winder. Amazon affiliated links in the description. Basically, watch a video. 10. How do I improve my electric guitar playing technique? Okay, TrueFire is great. They're not a sponsor, but they're a website that's got tons of video guitar lessons. I think there's different account levels that you can sign up for, maybe. There's also tons of free YouTube videos that'll teach you how to play whatever song you want to learn how to play. But let me try to give you a better answer. Here's a short list of things to focus on. 1, posture. 2, left hand technique. 3, right hand picking technique. 4, syncing the left and right hands. 5, getting a good tone. 6, vibrato. 7, expressiveness, meaning playing with dynamics. 8, speed. 9, soloing in sentences, meaning play musical ideas separated by pauses. And 10, never stop learning. Okay, that was somewhat painful, but I gave it my best shot. If anybody wants to see a video on any of these individual topics, let me know, and I'll do an in-depth video. As always, thank you for watching, and I will see you some future Friday at 5.